the MVP conversation is becoming a real one. And we're only 2 weeks into the season. And we talked to Aaron Rodgers on Tuesday on Aaron Rodgers Tuesdays on this show. And basically he said, nobody has a clue what they are yet. Let's slow it down. The MVP conversation even happening right now is basically outrageous because the overwhelming consensus of the internet after Monday night's game was that Drew Brees was dead. Couldn't throw the ball anymore. He had a weak arm. So you have Aaron Rodgers on Tuesday and you say, hey, the internet says Drew Brees was dead. Is there anything into your arm getting tired or anything like that? And he's like, nobody even knows what team they are yet. So the fact that the MVP odds are already coming out and are such a massive focal point of conversation is strictly because there isn't a lot of storylines to talk about on Wednesdays and Thursdays whenever you do a show every single day. So I know that what we're about to do isn't necessarily what we should be doing with all the information we've been told by people that have been in these conversations. But since we run a daily sports show, we have to do this. Russell Wilson is now the favorite to win the MVP. He had a Sunday night performance against the Patriots that was mesmerizing. He was dropping the ball from the moon, which is how he describes his deep ball, by the way, because on the Dangerous Cast or something like that, or Danger Hawk Cast or something along the, he has a podcast now. Randy Moss was on the podcast, and he said that when Percy got hurt, they asked Randy when he was working at Fox if he would want to come play for the Seahawks. And Randy said he'd been working out, but he hadn't been training. His body wasn't ready. And Russell Wilson was just learning this news that Randy Moss was potentially a member of the Seattle Seahawks. And he said, oh, Randy, I would have thrown you a deep ball that came down from the moon. And I think we got a chance to witness what he is talking about on that DK Metcalf ball, where somebody, I think there's a couple people on the internet, like it seemed like it was underthrown. It was like, no, he's throwing a ball that I don't think anybody else is throwing right now, where there's no coverage that you could possibly have for it. He's bringing it down straight from the clouds, and he's trying to do that. That's what he literally said to Randy Moss in that interview. He's playing at a level that is just awesome. But I don't know how you can just automatically think, like, since he hasn't had it, he's never had an MVP vote, and now he's playing, which all Seattle Seahawks fans have been telling me is this is how he always plays. Is this the year he makes the big jump? I'm not 100% sure because there's other players balling. Lamar Jackson looks better than he was last year, and he won the MVP last year. Patrick Mahomes just got paid $500 million last week. They obviously weren't great. They had some missteps or whatever. Let's assume that offense gets cooking yet again like it did last year. He's at plus 500. Aaron Rodgers, our guy, is playing the best football he's ever played, happier than he's ever been, started worrying about himself in his mental space. His arm isn't hurt for the first time in like 10 years. He's at plus 1,100. So there's obviously three very high favorites after 2 weeks that Vegas thinks, okay, these three are probably set up for it because plus 500 Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, plus 270 Russell Wilson, and Aaron Rodgers is playing his best football is at plus 1,100. Kyler Murray then's at plus 1,300. He's looked unbelievable, but nobody knows if that's going to last the entire season. He and Cliff Kingsbury are so new. I guess Vegas is like, we don't know if this is going to continue to work. Dak Prescott is at plus 1,500. I think it's because that cowboy hat he wore in the post-game press conference. Drew Brees is at plus 3,200. Josh Allen also at plus 3,200. And whenever we were talking about MVPs the other day, Bills Mafia sent me so many tweets about the disrespect for Josh Allen. Hey, you know what? I respect Josh Allen. You guys start going after Vegas. The people that say he's plus 3,200, he's below Drew Brees, who just a couple days ago, or he's tied with Drew Brees, who just a couple days ago, people thought he couldn't play football anymore. So Josh Allen, for whatever reason, is not getting enough credit, both in the Bills Mafia's eyes to be the MVP. And then Cam Newton's at plus 3,500. He's playing better than whenever he won the MVP. So it's very interesting. It's very early. But you can see who Vegas thinks is going to continue to have a great year. And it's Russell, Lamar, and Patty Mahomes, which makes a lot of sense. But Aaron Rodgers, the more and more we talk to him, it feels like he's almost unstoppable at this point. He's going to play his best football regardless, like a resurgence. And Kyler Murray, we don't know. Dak Prescott, I guess we don't know. So those three seem like a pretty good bet, but it's wild to me that they got Russell that far ahead, and then fourth is just such a far drop. It doesn't make much sense to me.
Well, fun fact for Russ also, when they play the Cowboys this week, their top two corners are already out, and their number 3 corner didn't practice yesterday or today, so potentially without their top 3 corners.
And I'm not 100% sure if Russell Wilson and the Seahawks and Pete Carroll are the type of team that get a big lead and don't just keep going. No. That feels like a team that can go if they have to. Schottenheimer over there with his second year with Russell has called good games. I think he's called. There's been a couple play calls you go like on that 3rd and 1, I think they threw or something like that, where Rob Ninkovich brought it up and you're like, what the hell is this about? But I think Shoddy and Russell Wilson are in a much closer together. They will continue to do their thing. And that defense, for whatever reason, always seems to be fits for people. I don't know if it's the scheme, if it's the same old thing. They figured out. But the Seahawks and Russell Wilson, now at the top of the MVP conversation, that means that people think the Seahawks are obviously going to be a good football team and continue to be a good football team, which bodes well for the Patriots, who went toe-to-toe with them on Sunday night. But it is a very interesting time to be betting on the MVP candidate after week 2. But here we are. I think we hammer. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
Obviously, Russ.
It's wasted money right now.
Yeah.
2 weeks from now, one of them might get an ingrown toenail that gets infected, that they're out for 5 weeks or whatever.
That year, Carson Wentz was supposed to win MVP. He got hurt like week 11, and then all of a sudden the whole thing's
Derek Carr, whenever he was potentially in the MVP conversation, I was at the game. It was Christmas Eve. Trent Cole tackles him, standard tackle. His knee just gets rid of it. The MVP thing, there has to be a lot to fall into place for that. But Russell Wilson, he's going to end up with a vote, at least one vote this particular
year. Because that is such a story. He's never got an MVP vote, all that. Do you think it is like this is the year where they're just going to give it to him if he plays the whole season and continues to do well?
Yeah, especially because humans vote on that.
Yeah.
So in that entire Sunday Night Football cast was basically like a shunning of the people that voted. Like, this guy has never got one. Yeah. You idiots, basically. And everybody knows who has the MVP votes and who doesn't have the MVP votes. So it does feel as if this is lining up for Russell Wilson, and Vegas is preparing for it. They're like, well, you're not going to get paid out as much because we heard what Chris Collinsworth said on Sunday.
Yeah.
We heard them shaming the people that have MVP votes are not voting, and we're not going to take it.